Hi, welcome to Pre-Calculus notes for Chapter 2.3 titled Real Zeros and Polynomial Functions. So the main topic we're going to talk about today is long division of polynomials. So long division is something you learned probably back in like 4th or 5th grade. Basically, if you have a number like 123 divided by 5, you're going to basically divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay, so 5 goes into 12 twice. 2 times 5 is 10, and then you subtract it. 12 minus 10 is 2. Then you're going to bring down the 3. Then you start back all over again, and you divide. 5 divides into 23 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. 23 minus 20 is 3. And then that becomes your remainder. So you have a remainder of 3, which you can write R3, or sometimes you're asked to write it as a fraction, so you just say 3 over the divisor, which is 5. So 24 3/5. Okay? So long division of polynomials is going to work in a similar way. You're going to start by dividing. And what you do need to do is, if you don't have all of your terms when you write your polynomial, you need to fill in placeholders. For instance, if you have x cubed minus 1, you're missing an x squared term and you're missing an x to the first power term. So you're going to fill in these placeholders. You're going to say plus 0x squared plus 0x, and then your x cubed and your minus 1 are still there. Okay? So after you've got in standard form and all of your placeholders, then you start by dividing. So x goes into x cubed, x squared times, and I write it above the x squared term. Okay? Then you're going to multiply. X squared times x is x cubed, x squared times negative 1 is negative x squared, and then you're going to subtract. So x cubed minus x cubed should cancel. That term should always cancel. If it doesn't, you did something wrong. Go back and fix it. X squared times negative 1 is negative x squared, and when you subtract it, you get minus a negative, which is plus x squared, and then you're going to bring down the next term, so bring down the 0x. Then you go back to division. So x squared goes in, x goes into x squared, x times, and x times x is x squared, x times negative 1 is negative x, and then you're going to subtract. So x squared minus x squared is nothing, 0, so you can leave a blank or you can write 0. And then 0x minus negative x, that would be like plus, right, will just be 1x. And then you bring down your last term, your minus 1, and then you go back to divide. So x goes into x 1 time. So you have to write plus 1. And then you multiply. 1 times x is x. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. And then you subtract. X minus x is 0. So you can leave it blank. Or you can write 0. And then negative 1 minus minus is plus. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So there's no remainder on this one. And that means that your polynomial is x squared plus x plus 1. Okay? So x cubed minus 1 divided by x minus 1, which is what we started with, is equal to x squared plus x plus 1, which also means that the x minus 1 times all that is equal to the x cubed minus 1. All right, here's another example. This time we're going to divide 2x to the 4th plus 4x third minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 2. We're going to divide all that by x squared plus 2x minus 3. So when we write it out, we want to make sure we have all of our terms. So you can just count backwards on your exponents. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So we've got them all. We don't need to have any placeholders or fillers. And we're just going to divide. Okay? So 2x to the 4th divided by x squared is 2x squared. Okay, so you write the 2x squared above the term that also has x squared underneath the division bar. Okay, now we're going to multiply. 2x squared times x squared is 2x to the fourth. You want these to be the same because then when you subtract them, they will go to 0, okay? Then we're going to multiply the 2x squared times the 2x, which gets us 4x cubed. The 2x squared times the negative 3, which gets us negative 6x squared. The next step is to subtract. Okay, so 2x to the fourth minus 2x to the fourth is 0. 4x to the third minus 4x to the fourth, 4x to the third is also 0. So blank, blank, or you could write zeros, but that you don't need to. And then negative 5x squared minus minus, so plus 6x squared is just 1x squared. Then you're going to bring down the plus 3x. And on this one, since it's a trinomial, you could also bring down the minus 2. And then we go back and we start with division again. So x to the second goes into x to the second one time, right? Because times 1 is x to the second. So you're going to write plus 1. Write it over the numeric term. That means there is no x term. Just don't need it, okay? Then we're going to multiply. 1 times x squared is x squared. 1 times 2x is 2x. And 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And now we're going to subtract. X squared minus x squared is 0. 3x minus 2x is 1x. Negative 2x minus 3, so plus 3, is plus 1. There's nothing left to bring down, so this binomial is your remainder. You say there is a remainder of x plus 1, or you can write the x plus 1 over the original divisor of x squared plus 2x minus 3, and you're done with the problem. All right, the directions on this one say, given that x minus 4 is a factor, use long division to completely factor the x cubed plus 3x squared minus 22x minus 24. And when they say it's a factor, that just means that it's going to have a remainder of 0. Okay, there won't be any remainder. Okay, so we're going to take that 4-term polynomial and we're going to divide it by the factor that they gave us, which is x minus 4, and we're going to follow the long division steps. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is divide. X goes into x cubed, x squared times. Second step is to multiply. So we're going to multiply x squared times x, which is x cubed, x squared times negative 4, which is negative 4x squared. Then we're going to subtract. Okay, x cubed minus x cubed is 0, so I left it blank. 3x squared minus a negative 4x squared, so plus 4x squared is 7x squared. And then I'm going to bring down the negative 22x, or minus 22x. Next step is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply this 7x times the x, which is 7x squared, and the 7x times the negative 4, which is negative 28x. And then I'm going to subtract. So 7x squared minus 7x squared is 0. Negative 22x minus a negative 28x, so plus 28x is 6x. And then I'm going to bring down my last term of minus 24 right here. And then we're going to divide. So x goes into 6x 6 times. Then we're going to multiply. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Then we're going to subtract. So 6x minus 6x is 0. Negative 24 minus negative 24 is like negative 24 plus 24, which they're opposites, so we have a remainder of 0. Okay, once you have a remainder of 0, you know for sure that x minus 4 is one of the factors. And then you also have x squared plus 7x plus 6. So we wrote it as a trinomial right here. Now that you've gotten it down to this trinomial, you can see, oh, that's easily factorable, because x plus 6 and x plus 1 would be your binomials that would factor from that. Okay? All right. And the last one, it says, given that x plus 6 is a factor, use long division to completely factor the x cubed, 9 plus the 9x squared minus the 52x minus the 420. And so we're going to start with division. X goes into x cubed, x squared times. So we write the x squared above the x squared term. Then we're going to multiply. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 6 is 6x squared. The next step is to subtract. So x cubed minus x cubed is 0. 9x squared minus the 6x squared is 3x squared. Then we're going to bring down this minus 52x. Now we go back to division. So x goes into 3x squared, 3x times. So we're going to write that above the x term, so right here. And then we're going to multiply. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 6 is 18x. Now we're going to subtract. 3x squared minus 3x squared is 0. Negative 52x minus an 18x is negative 70x. And then bring down our last term, the minus 420. And then we're going to divide. So x goes into negative 70x, negative 70 times. So we write that above the numeric term. And now we multiply. Negative 70 times x is negative 70x. Negative 70 times 6 is negative 420. And now we're going to subtract. So negative 70x minus negative 70x is 0. So leave it blank. And then negative 420 minus minus 420 is also 0. And so it definitely is a factor. So I'm going to write the factor of x plus 6. Plus I'm going to write the trinomial answer I just got, x squared plus 3x minus 70. And it may take a second to look at it, but you hopefully will realize that x plus 10 and x minus 7 are the factors here, because the inside would be 10x, the outside would be negative 7x, which combines to get the 3x.